Today we're going to have a look at our circulatory system and the structures that are present in our circulatory system. Now we can group the structures in our circulatory system into three main groups: our blood vessels, the pump, and our valves. Now blood vessels include arteries, veins, and capillaries. Our pump is defined as our heart, and our valves we can find in either our heart or in our veins. Now, the human circulatory system can be divided into two different circulatory systems. The first system goes from our heart, and blood is pumped towards our lungs and then back to our heart. Now, this is called the pulmonary circulation. The second circulation goes then from the heart to all the tissues in our body and then back to the heart as well. And this is called our systemic circulation. Now we can see that blood needs to flow through the heart twice to make one complete circulation through the body, meaning the body as well as the lungs. Now this is why our circulation is known as a double circulatory system. Let's start with the outside of our heart. Now we get two main blood vessels on the outside of our heart, and this is called our arteries and our veins. Now arteries transport blood away from the heart and veins transport blood towards the heart. Now here we can see our vena cava. This is a vein and it transports blood from all our body's tissues towards the heart. This excludes our lung tissues. This means it brings blood from our systemic circulation. Then we have the pulmonary artery, and just like in the name, it is an artery. This means blood will be transported from the heart away towards the lungs. Now, pulmonary refers to lungs. Then we have our pulmonary vein, and our pulmonary vein is obviously a vein, and it will transport blood from our lungs towards our heart. Then we have our aorta. Now our aorta is also classified as an artery, and it will transport blood away from our heart towards our body tissues. Again, systemic circulation. Then lastly, we have our coronary arteries, and these are smaller arteries found on the outside walls of our heart. Now, the vena cava, aorta, pulmonary artery, and pulmonary vein supply blood to the body and bring blood from the body towards the heart to be pumped. Now, the coronary arteries specifically supply blood to the heart and the heart muscles to be able to function. So if you have to imagine it, blood will be pumped from the aorta to smaller arteries and then towards the coronary artery to supply the heart with blood itself. Now we can move to the inside of our heart. So this is how it would look if we cut the heart open. So here we can see our vena cava. Now blood will flow through our vena cava into the right atrium of the heart. It will then pass through a tricuspid valve, or other known as our atrioventricular valve. It will then enter the ventricle and then go through our second valve called our semilunar valve. Now this valve is found inside of our pulmonary artery. Blood will then flow through our pulmonary artery, and this will then be towards the lungs for our pulmonary circulation. Here the blood will receive oxygen and be pumped back through our pulmonary vein into our left atrium. It will then pass through another set of valves called the bicuspid valves, or otherwise known as the mitral valves. It will then enter the left ventricle and then go through another set of valves called the semilunar valve. This will be inside of our aorta. Here the blood will then be pumped to the rest of our body tissues through our systemic circulation, and the process will then repeat itself. Now here in the center of our heart, we also have our septum. Now septum is very important as it separates our deoxygenated from our oxygenated blood. It also helps to ensure that the blood pressure differs between our pulmonary circulation and our systemic circulation. That's because our lungs, cells, and capillaries are very delicate, meaning that if a high pressure is used here, then these capillaries might burst. But in our systemic circulation, high pressure needs to be used. That's because blood needs to be pumped further away from the heart. Now here we can see the different valves that are present in our heart. Here is an example of a tricuspid valve, or our atrioventricular valve, and we can see that it has 3 flaps. So that's what the tri stands for. Then here we have our bicuspid valve. We can see here that it has 2 flaps instead of 3. So that is what bi refers to. And then here we also have our semilunar valves. Now, if we look at our blood vessels in our body, we have 3 different types: our arteries, our veins, and our capillaries. Now, both our arteries and our veins have an outer layer. The second layer, just beneath our outer layer in our arteries and our veins, will be our muscle layer. Our arteries then have an elastic layer as well, and this helps to withstand the pressure of the blood flowing through the arteries. Then both our arteries and our veins also have an inner layer, but our arteries have a very small lumen. Now the lumen refers to the hole inside of the blood vessel. Our veins, on the other hand, has a very large lumen and also contain valves that help blood to flow in one direction and prevents backflow of blood. We then have our capillaries. Our capillaries do not have many layers. They're only 1 cell thick. Now these cells have fenestrations between them. These are tiny little openings, and they also have a very small lumen.